Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene.
You know, I'm not a big fan of masks. But I brought one today that I like to wear when I'm in the swamp. That's my impeach Biden mask. Thank you, Florida, so much. Thank you so much for inviting me here, and thank you for coming this morning, and thank you for loving our country. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for staying in this fight, and thank you for staying loyal to our president, Donald J. Trump. Well, I want to tell you, it wasn't too long ago where I stood just where you're standing. You see, I've never been in politics before, and I never wanted to be, not once, until I saw a man stand on the stage among 17 others, seasoned politicians. And I heard him speak, and I thought, you know, for the first time, that's someone that I think I understand, and he speaks to me. And I really started paying attention. You see, most of my life, I've just been a regular person. I've been a business owner working alongside my husband in our construction company. I opened a CrossFit gym, a business I built by myself. I've been a wife and a mom of 3 kids, and I want to tell you that's the best thing I've ever done in my life as a woman. Paid my taxes, I followed the laws, and I've just been a proud American. But we've come to a place where life has changed, and we know it. And we elected Donald J. Trump to be our president for 4 years, and he gave us 4 amazing years. Now, when we elected him, we were fired up, and I gotta tell you, that next day after the election, I thought, this is the greatest day of my life. The sun shone brighter, the birds chirped prettier, and I really thought, you know, we're about to get things done, because we controlled the House, we controlled the Senate, and we put a good man, President Trump, in office. And I was like, okay, we're gonna repeal Obamacare, we're going to build the wall, we're gonna protect our Second Amendment rights, we're going to lower our taxes, we're going to defund Planned Parenthood, stop murdering babies in the womb. And then for 2 years, I watched Republicans in Congress fail to get those things done when they had a man in the White House that was ready to sign his name to all of that. That is what made me run for Congress. Then we lost the House, and Nancy Pelosi became Speaker of the House. Yeah, I'm not a fan. Not a fan. Now here we are. After a year spent campaigning where we saw the most amazing outpouring of support for our great president, boat parades, MAGA trains, flag-waving events, signs, MAGA hats, re-elect President Trump, make America great again, keep America great again. But the election didn't turn out the way we thought it should, or what I think it should have. And then, now, after all of that, we have a new government in place. We do. We have a President, Joe Biden, Vice President, Kamala Harris. We still have Nancy Pelosi as Speaker of the House. And we have a Senate that's 50-50 and Kamala Harris is the deciding vote. Now, I want to tell you something. I started in Congress on January 3rd, and I'm going to tell you exactly how it goes on the inside. It's much worse than I ever thought it is. It's much worse. And when I got there, I've been shocked nonstop. You see, I've been operating in Congress the same way you would operate in Congress. Not like the swamp operates. It's the swamp that is the problem. We're at near $30 trillion in debt. I'm a business owner. If I ran my company that way, my business would fail. I would be out of business. My family would be homeless. It wouldn't work out. And you see, those same seasoned politicians that have been there and are trying to tell me how I should operate as a congresswoman are the very ones that put us in this mess that we're in. Now, they cannot do what you do every day in your life. They would fail. These seasoned politicians, these political consultants, the experts, the organizations, the ones that run our country could not make it a day in your shoes. They can only be successful in academia or government because it's their ideas and their ways of doing things that fail. So when I went to Congress, I decided, you know what? I'm not there to learn the ways of Washington, D.C. I'm going to keep doing things the same way I've been doing them. And so here's how it's worked out. I've gotten a lot of trouble, as you know. I had a little issue with some rules that Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats put in place, meaning that we can no longer recognize gender, male and female, as if that's some kind of science that there's not two genders when there's only two sets of chromosomes. But you know the Democrats, they trust the science, right? So come to find out, I had a neighbor across the hall from me when we were voting on the Equality Act. You guys know about the Equality Act, right? The Equality Act completely erases gender, puts men in our bathrooms, in our daughters' bathrooms, puts boys and men in our girls' sports locker rooms, and places they don't belong. So I had a little problem with that, and come to find out, I had a neighbor across the hall that I'd never met. Well, this is how I met my neighbor. And I've never met neighbors this way because I'm from Georgia, and typically, when we meet a neighbor, we might bring them a plate of cookies or some brownies, and we're real sweet and we say hello. So my neighbor across the hall posted a video on Twitter that I found out about in my notifications, and the video started out on my door in my sign with my name, Marjorie Greene, and then it turns all the way around to her, and she's got the trans flag, and she plants it in front of her office, and she goes, I'm like, okay. I don't really care about that stuff. I don't care what people do in their bedroom. It's none of my business. I just will not refuse. I refuse to let go of gender. There's only male and female. That's it. And I won't stay silent while Democrats try to destroy God's creation. Because God created us male and female. There wasn't a list of genders that God created. There's only two. So I thought, well, now that my neighbor and I are trying to get to know each other, I need to make her video back. I mean, you return the favor, right? So I had a sign made up. We go out in the hall. We start out on her door with her nameplate. Go by her her flag that she planted. Comes around to me and I place a sign on the wall that says, "There's only two genders, male and female. Trust the science." Well, I want to tell you what the fake news did with that. They went all over and made it out like I did it first, and then they said I attacked her child. Well, come to find out, her child is an adult man. An adult, not a child. And guess what? I have adult daughters around the same age, and he does not belong in my daughter's bathrooms or mine. But the media didn't like it. They kept attacking. There's been some other fun things that have happened there. Well, just recently this week, you might have seen that I've challenged AOC to a debate. You see, she wrote a little something called the Green New Deal. Yeah, the Green New Deal. I have a really hard time with that because I've been a business owner, and business owners, we build the economy, right? Well, you know, AOC, she's got a degree in economics. She went to college. She's educated. She's been a bartender, which is great. I love all jobs. Working is a good thing, but she hasn't worked much. So, the Green New Deal. I have a really big problem with the Green New Deal. You see, the Green New Deal convicts the United States of our climate sins, but yet China is the biggest polluter in the world, right? The Green New Deal is a radical shift for our country. It will completely tear down our economy. It will force us to go to net zero carbon emissions. We're going to switch solar and wind, and if anybody paid attention to what happened in Texas with frozen wind turbines and rolling blackouts, then we can see how this might not be a good idea. It will force us to use electric vehicles, which, by the way, everyone, operates with batteries, and China is the largest manufacturer of batteries in the world. China also owns over 80% of the rare earth mineral mining rights that make batteries. The United States is not very big in the battery market. As a matter of fact, we're tiny. We've got China, we've got Japan, we've got South Korea. America's not up on that list. The Green New Deal will force the United States, every single one of you, to be dependent on China if you want to drive your car. I have a very big problem with that. Also, I love this country just as you do, and our freedoms are absolutely amazing. The fact that any one of us, no matter who we are and where we start out in life, can work hard, become anything you want to be, practically anything you want to be. You can start a business, and if you work hard enough, it will be successful. Well, the Green New Deal tears down industries. It tears down industries that create carbon emissions. And this is what AOC is trying to do with us. It will raise our taxes. It will cause our energy prices to go through the roof, make us dependent on China for our vehicle needs, and it will make us a slave and lower us in the world. Guess what? Joe Biden said this week that he's going to reduce carbon emissions down by 50% by the year 2030. Do you know what President Xi said of China? He said he's going to increase productivity and raise carbon emissions all the way to peak in approximately 2035. So while the President of the United States is going along with a communist named Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, or Sandy, we should call her, and going to reduce America's influence in the world, and the President of China is flat out saying, oh, we are going to overtake you with productivity, we're supposed to sit around and just let this pass? Nope. So I had been tweeting at AOC, we need to debate on the Green New Deal. The American people deserve to know exactly what is in this. But she wasn't as friendly as my neighbor across the hall, Maria Newperson. Actually, her name is Newman, but I call her New Person because she doesn't believe in gender. And I don't know why AOC didn't tweet back at me, because Twitter seems to be her only form of communication, right? So when I saw her in the Capitol just the other day, and she was in the chamber, and I was like, oh, I've been wanting to talk to her. So I went down and was like, hey, I'm Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'd like to challenge you to a debate on the Green New Deal. Well, needless to say, she was like, oh, like, have you even read it? I said, well, I've read most of it. She's like, well, how can you even challenge me to a debate if you haven't even read it? I said, okay, I'll finish reading it, and then we'll debate. Well, let me tell you. She goes, well, you want to do it like on pay-per-view. And I said, yeah, I want as many people to see it. I want to do it on every major news network. I'm down with pay-per-view. I'm down with whatever. Because I want the American people to know exactly what your Green New Deal is all about, and I'm going to tell them. She goes, well, this is where we do public debate, because we're standing in the chamber. And on C-SPAN, I said, okay, then we can do it right here. Because here's the deal. I'm a business owner. I sign paychecks. I create jobs. I've built the economy, and your Green New Deal is going to tear it down. You see, you've never been a business owner, and you have no clue what you're doing. And she responded, that's not true. I was like, really? How so? I've launched restaurants in New York. I said, you didn't own any of them. So we're gonna schedule it very soon. And she better show up, or I'll spend the entire time telling the American people exactly what her Green New Deal is all about. Another little story. Let's talk about our police officers. I want to tell you all, if you're a veteran or you're a member of the law enforcement community, a first responder, a fireman, I think you are some of the greatest among us, and I thank you. Approximately a month ago. Sorry, I may be a little wrong on that. My time runs together. I've only been there like 3.5 months, and they tried to kill me. But this bill came through, and it's a complete defund the police bill. Tear the law enforcement apart. They want to take away your qualified immunity. They want to defund you in every way. They want to put people from the community on boards that tell you how to do your job. And they just want to take away every opportunity you have to keep our streets safe, and it's absolutely disgusting. So I, along with many of my Republican colleagues, fought that bill, but the Democrats passed it, and it was, I was infuriated with it. That week, you know what I did? I walked around with a printout of exactly everything that was in the bill and how bad it hurt our federal law enforcement officers. And I did something that apparently they don't ordinarily do there. I informed people on the truth. And I walked around the Capitol and I handed out these flyers to every Capitol police officer I could see. I want you to know what the Democrats are doing to you. I want you to know what the Democrats are doing to you. And I did that because the Democrats are constantly virtue signaling about how endangered their life is in the Capitol because of the January 6th riot. And they, insist on having all this protection around them, but yet they're destroying law enforcement and wanting to hurt them and make it impossible for them to do their jobs. So I wanted them to know. Well, the Democrats passed that, and then 2 weeks later, Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats passed another resolution to award all of the Capitol police officers the Medal of Honor for their heroic deeds on January 6th. And I gotta tell you, I was like, wow, that takes a lot of nerve. So I just introduced a bill to award police officers all over this country a Medal of Honor for their heroic deeds for the past year during Antifa BLM riots. While the Democrats are still having a fit about the fake QAnon army that they think is going to invade Washington, D.C., and they surrounded the Capitol with them and made it into a military fortress, they have ignored all of the riots of the past year. Riots that burned cities, looted businesses, attacked innocent people, killed innocent people, like David Dorn. Riots, criminals, thugs, domestic terrorists that attacked federal buildings, tore down monuments, and took over police precincts. And then the fake news media, what do they say? Oh, they're peaceful protesters. Yeah, what do you guys think about the fake news? Exactly. Yeah. So, there's a certain little lady, she's been in D.C. a very long time. Maxine Waters. Does that say Maxilla? Maxine Waters, who has a history of inciting violence, going all the way back to the 90s. This woman has been in government longer than I've been alive, I think. She crosses state lines, goes into Minnesota, breaks curfew, gets on the ground, gets out there amongst the domestic terrorists themselves, and tells them to stay in the streets, you break curfew, and you get more confrontational. Let me ask you all a question. What is more confrontational than what we have seen in these riots over the past year? What's more confrontational than burning cities, attacking police officers, looting businesses, attacking people, fighting in the streets? What is more confrontational than that? Does she want a war in America? I can't comprehend it because can you imagine if I had gone out into a crowd and I said those things? They would have me swinging from the gallows in front of the Capitol. They would arrest me and throw me in jail. Maxine Waters intimidated a jury before the trial was over. She made her threats. They made it clear. So, as a member of Congress that has been kicked off of my committees for doing nothing wrong, as a member of Congress that's had a resolution introduced to expel me for doing nothing wrong, soon as I found out about that, I said, I'm going to introduce a resolution to expel Maxine Waters. Right? Because that's what you would do. It's about the people. It is not about the swamp. It is not about Washington, D.C. and the politics about the people. And this woman is a danger to our society. Any member of Congress that will abuse her powerful position and go into a crowd of criminals and domestic terrorists and tell them to get more confrontational does not belong in Congress. You see, that is exactly what's wrong with our country. We have a federal government that has forgotten what their job is. And I'm going to tell you, as a business owner, I've known for decades, my job is to serve my customers. My job is to provide good customer service. My job is to make sure my customers are happy. Well, let me remind you all of something. You are the customers. You are the people. This is a government for the people and by the people, not the other way around. Not at all the other way around. But yet it has lost its way, this government. It started out as a cute little fuzzy puppy, the one you just love to play with, after 1776. And it has grown and grown and grown to be a monster living in our house, eating all of our food out of our refrigerator, making a mess, and destroying everything in our home. This is a government that is responsible for enslaving us, our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, generations beyond into debt. This is a government that has murdered over 62 million people in the womb. How do we do that? And it continues to sell the same lie to women. It's a horrible lie. The lie that you have to kill that baby in your womb to be successful, to make your dreams come true. That's the most hideous, disgusting lie anyone could ever tell a woman. You want to know what the greatest thing that can happen to a woman? It's a blessing, and there's many women that have a difficult time with it. It's being a mother. Being a mother is what has made me be able to achieve my dreams and achieve my goals. We have to stop lying to women. We have to stop killing our children. This is also a government that wants to take away your greatest freedom, a freedom that every other country in this world wishes they had, like you do, our Second Amendment. You know what's going to make our streets safer? Gun owners. You know what stops violent crime? Gun owners. And the government has no right to tell us what kind of gun we want to own, how much ammunition we want to buy, and what we want to use, what type of gun we want to use if someone is trying to kill us. Because I can tell you right now, as a woman and a mom and a business owner, if someone was coming in, breaking in my home, trying to kill me or my children, I would pick up the biggest gun I have and shoot as many bullets as I want to. And that's every American's right. The right to defend ourselves. And our Second Amendment is the greatest right, and we have to protect it. The Democrats want to take away your guns. They're going for gun control. I got your back. Now I want to tell you what else I'm doing that you may not know about. When I got to Congress, there was something I found out about, and let me tell you what it is. Did you know that a lot of bills, many bills, most bills, pass by a voice vote? Okay, so there's 435 members of Congress, right? Oftentimes, bills come out on the floor and they just ask for a voice vote. That means people will be saying either yay or nay to pass the bill. And there will only be a handful of members in the room. most. When I saw that happen the first time, I said, what just happened? Did that pass? And somebody next to me said, yep. So I got into doing something after they kicked me off my committees, and they should have never done that. See, that was a great gift. Those committees are a waste of time, let me tell you. Big waste of time. And I'm not one to sit around with nothing to do. So I learned about floor action and procedure. And I said, you know, I don't really like the idea of voice votes. That's ridiculous. Every single member of Congress should be on record voting. You want to know why? Because they work for you. I work for you. That's the way Congress works. And we should be accountable to the people. Democrat, Republican, I don't care. Everyone deserves to know. So I started doing something. I started calling for recorded votes. It's a pretty big deal. Well, let me tell you how upsetting that is to many members in Congress. They don't like that very much. As a matter of fact, I got chewed out for doing that. I'm talking about cussed out, and it wasn't by Democrats. That was by Republicans. So here's what you need to know. I am working very hard, holding Congress accountable. I do not care how mad they get. I want you to know exactly what they are doing. And I don't care how much the media attacks me and hates me for it. Because I'm there for you, and I will never, ever back down. And here's what I need from all of you. I've got something for you, and then I've got to wrap this up. What you need to know is no matter how upset you are about the president's election, no matter what you're seeing in the news, and if you feel hopeless, here's what you need to know. It's not over. Oh no. You want to know why? I'm there. And guess what else? This is bigger. All of you are here. Now what I want you all to remember is you are the people of the United States of America. You are the people that can make a difference. Do you know the most terrifying thing that happens to a politician? When a bunch of Americans and taxpayers and voters are upset at them. That's scary. That threatens their job security. Be vocal. Make those phone calls. Make those emails. Do it every day. Call in. Do something. Show up. Make your voices heard. Peacefully. Don't be like the left. They're the party of violence. We are not them. Hold the government accountable. That's your job. Hold the government accountable. You are the customer. Do not be complacent. Do not be silent. Don't forget who you are. There's people that died so you can have these freedoms. They died for us. We cannot let it go. And I'll tell you why. If we're too busy, if we are too complacent, if we have too many hobbies, if we're too comfortable, the next generation is going to say, what happened? What happened? We don't want to tell that story. So here's what we have to do. You have to hold on to hope. It's not over. We have a very big God. Keep the faith, that's right. I want to thank every single one of you for coming out. There's going to be a lot more to come. I'm very excited to let you know that. We'll be making announcements about that very soon. We've got to get this nation going again. We have to build hope back. We have to build back faith. We still have to make America great again. That's a job we have to do. God bless you guys.